So we're going to be talking about outlining. It is a writer's tool, and I am finding as I'm going through and grading assignments that outlining is becoming, some students are using it and some students are not, and it's really important. And then I actually kind of think sometimes students are just using it to get it done. And I'm hoping to change your mind on that if you are one of those students where you look at outlining as a writer's tool and something that's going to make your essay the best you can make it. So to begin with, I think it's really important to kind of back up a little bit and not just talk about outlining itself, though I'm going to demonstrate how to do this. I think it's really, really important to understand the writing process and why it is we need to outline and how it kind of helps us think more in depth. So when you are starting a writing assignment, you read the prompt and you're looking at the issues and whatever your prompt and what you're supposed to be talking about. And so from there, you kind of have a different process. Everybody has different processes. So some people just jump right in. Some people do go through and organize. Some people will brainstorm and do all these different things. So what I'd like you to kind of think about for a second is what you do to outline. So what are those steps? And when you're thinking about that, I want you to think about then, are they helpful? And how you judge that is, do you think your end result is your best work? When I asked myself these questions as a college student, I'll be honest, as a high school student, I thought I was an awesome writer and I don't need to outline. It's just an extra step that wastes my time. And as I got into college, I realized I need to outline because I would struggle with making sure I was saying everything I wanted or that it made the most sense because the prompts got more and more complicated. And when that happened, I wasn't making the best of my essay. And so what I realized is I needed to kind of back up and look at that process. And because when you just start writing your essay, you kind of take all this chaos and you just start spitting it out onto the page and typing it out furiously. And sometimes, a lot of times, you might get a good, decent essay, but it isn't the best you can make it. And so we're really wanting to make sure that you are writing the best paper that you can possibly write. So the writing process is to brainstorm. You get your prompt, you look at it, you got to come up with some ideas. That's just brainstorming ideas. And sometimes we list them, sometimes we just think about them. And then we organize them. So we have to have some way to put them all together. We draft it. Now, some of us just jump straight to the drafting process. And then we edit, revise that draft, and then we have a final product. And this is really important because all of our Graduation Alliance assignments are based on this concept. And you're actually going to create lists and you're going to organize those lists and you're going to draft, and then you should be editing and revising, and then you turn in your final product. Now, some people might do these in different orders, or maybe they'll brainstorm, organize, draft, and then go back in and re-brainstorm and organize before they create that edit revised product. So it all can vary. I will tell you that for me, I brainstorm and organize at the same time. And this is the approach I want to talk about today, because I think if we could condense some of this so it didn't feel like you had, that it was a, hopefully that you're utilizing your time the best you can by kind of combining the two. So I actually create my list first. I know the order and what good essays look like, and what the nice thing about Grad Alliance is we actually provide the outlines for you. You just have to kind of fill them in. though you are more than welcome to use your own style. You just need to make sure you turn that in and that they're clearly labeled. But I actually prefer to brainstorm and organize at the same time. It's just the way my brain works, but I have a feeling a lot of us think this way. And all that the outline is going to do is help us do these stages together. So let's look at example outlines and the purpose of an outline. An outline is just a map of your ideas in order to help you order, connect, and change ideas. It helps you see the whole picture. So if you look at either of these examples, and the one on the left is a lot like what we're going to look at, which is a research outline today. And then the one on the right is a pretty typical 5-paragraph essay outline. And so we're going to be looking at these two. But if you're able to fill this in and you see where you're going and what your ideas are, you're able to see how they connect, how they might not connect when you thought they did. So you need to change the order that you put them in. It might help you actually recognize a new connection or be like, oh, wait, I could do this. And you might be able to move things around on the outline, which is so much easier most times, than trying to do it when you have a 1,500-word essay and you're trying to figure out what the best place is to put this sentence. That gets a little bit more complicated. But if you have the outline, you're able to either go back in and look at where you think it might fit, or if you haven't drafted yet, which is the hope, meaning you can catch where these ideas should go before you start drafting. So if you have this list or this outline, it really kind of works as a map in order for you to see that big picture. Because when we're in the middle of drafting, it's like being lost sometimes and trying to find your way to somewhere. And you're trying to drive around and you're trying to see, but you're too almost close to kind of see where you're supposed to turn or go. So when we can pull back and have a little bit more direction or a little bit better of an image of what we're trying to accomplish or where we're trying to go, it helps us be more successful and we get there faster. And that is what an outline does. It's just a view of your paper at like that 10,000-foot mark to be able to see the map and really kind of look at where you're trying to go and how you might get there. So, Graduation Alliance uses 2 different outlines, and one of them is kind of a brainstorming. It's supposed to help you not be so intimidated or avoiding doing that research element. So one of them is a research outline, and all that we're doing here is organizing and suggesting things to look for to write your essay in order to successfully answer the prompt. So that's what this is, and you look at this, I just copied this image directly from your activity page, and these outlines are provided for every single essay that we do. Many times, just a heads up and a hint, a lot of our reflections and short paragraphs will also have a format for you to follow, and it's very similar and it uses all of the same terms, so it should be easier to follow. So what you see here is just the research outline, and this happens in English 10 and English 11. So, and it's because you have to go in and find sources. And this research outline is meant to help you do research online, copy and paste that essentially into your outline, and then keep track of where you got that information. And I'm going to actually demonstrate this in a couple slides. We're going to go onto the internet and do some research and go from there. So another type of outline that we have is called an essay outline. And the essay outline was the way the image showed up, it was way too big to put that on my slide. So I just copied the text. So it is exactly in the same order that you would see it on your activities page. Because the difference is research is just to gain all that information. But then to gain all your sources and your support from the online resources. But then you move from the research outline into your essay outline, and that essay outline is meant to help you actually organize your very specific paragraphs. And if you look in here, I'm just going to point this part out here. This part, body paragraph 1, 2, and 3, history of organization, who and what the organization serves, and how the organization serves, is the exact same thing as, not wanting to go back, this, right? History of organization, who and what the organization serves, and how the organization serves. The only difference is that would only be 3 paragraphs of information. Here we have our introduction, which is our beginning paragraph, our very first paragraph, and then our concluding or our conclusion. Now the other difference is they have you doing 2 concrete details and then a commentary sentence instead of using all 3 of your concrete details. So you can actually choose to use all 3 if you want. I would, if I found them and I had done the work form, I'd go for broke and like add in all of the information I had, as long as it was useful and it worked with the paragraph. So we're going to go over this part in a couple minutes, but I just wanted to show them to you so you could see them up close. And I'm actually going to get into my tabs in my activity page so you can see what this looks like on when you are actually in the school website working on your work. Okay? So the next thing I want you to think about before we really get into doing this is the steps to outlining. I'm actually going to go through all of these steps. I'm going to create a document, I'm going to open the document. I created blank documents in Google Drive just to make this a little bit faster today. Then I'm going to actually determine the outline I want to use. In your case as a Graduation Alliance student, we actually give you the outlines in order to help you and assist you and kind of guide you on how to put that essay together. So I highly recommend using those outlines. Though I am okay, I know as a teacher grading these, that if you have a different way of organizing it that you think fits and it still meets the prompt and answers the question, I'm good with that, and I'm pretty sure most of our instructors would be good with that. But you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You're more than welcome to, and it is expected that you would use the outlines provided. That's why they're there. We want to be able to guide you and help you do this as best as we can through the wonderful world of the internet and computers. Once you copy and paste your outline, then you're going to just go in and click on where it's at, fill it in, and type in your answers. In some cases, like with the research outline, we'll be copying and pasting our sources. And then, oh, I forgot to change that from create document. It's supposed to say, not create document, it should have said draft, like create your draft. So really there's create a document, determine the outline and like paste it in, fill in the outline, and then draft. So technically there's only like 3 steps to outlining, and a lot of it is just the formatting portion. So I'm going to actually demonstrate this for you right now. And I'm actually going to go in and demonstrate this for all 2 different outlines. And I'm probably not going to do the entire outline just because, So I'm going to show you my screen. Let me see here. It's not wanting to do what I asked it to do. There we go. Okay. So this is my view. I'm pretty sure from what I've heard from other students that this is what your view looks like. You'll see your folders and your unit folders, and then you've got your assignments in here. And we're going to start with organizing research, because this is a research outline and it's one of your assignments. So that's not the right one, excuse me. Let me get down in here. It's this one right here. Okay, so this is what it looks like, just like I had on the slideshow. If you want to look at the rubric, A for exceeds is all parts of the outline are complete with facts in logical order and your sources are listed. To get a C, all parts of the outline are complete with sources listed, but they might not be in a logical order, because you want to utilize that list making as much as possible and get them in the correct order as soon as you can, or if you're just missing parts of the outline. So remember that first step is to create a document. You might use Word, you might use OpenOffice, you could use Google Docs. I know I use Google Docs a lot, so I'm going to use Google Docs because I also know that a lot of you are using Google Docs as well. So I just opened a brand new document and I labeled it Research Outline to make sure I don't get it confused with all of the other outlines that I would have as a student. And so this is what your empty document would look like. My suggestion is to just go into your activity, highlight the entire part of the outline provided, go into your document. Oops, hold on, I think I forgot. Right click, or however it is that you can copy, you can either do right click or you can push Control-C down and it's going to copy it for you. And then go into your outline and we're going to paste it. And I would paste it the way it is. Interestingly enough, did it go? Okay, so I'm going to go back in and bold this. I thought it would show the formatting from where it came from, but it might not have added from the website onto here. So I'm just going to go in and bold this because it helps me see what I'm trying to do. So I'm trying to think of an organization because I'm trying to do this live so you can see what I would do. Okay, so I've opened a document and created a new document. I've determined my outline format. Okay, and then I am now needing to, for this one, needing to do research and find sources. So I'm actually going to pick the JDRF. My son, he's 10, he is a type 1 diabetic. So, and I haven't seen any student use this for an organization. So I think I'm going to use this so that it's a different approach than anyone's seen. I've seen students pick such great organizations, and so I want to kind of try to do something a little bit different. So the JDRF is the juvenile, it used to be the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. They still are that. They're working on helping like find a cure for type 1 diabetes. So I'm going to go just into, that's an ad though. Let's see if we can do this a little differently. See where it takes us. It's just taking me to make a donation. So let's go. We're just going to go to the website, the main website. So the first thing I'm looking for is the history. So let's see, I'm just scanning around for media. It's probably just going to take me to financials. Oh, there we go. Okay. I'm just going to it's a bit of history. This should work. JDF has led the search for cure. All right. I'm going to take this whole thing. I just copied it. I'm going to go over into my research outline. Now, just because I copy and paste it here as a direct quote, remembering to do this, it does not mean I'm going to leave it that way when I go to do my outline, but this is just meant to help me find material. And so I want to use that. And I'm actually going to copy the URL here and go back because that's the source. Okay, so that's it. I'm done with my first one. And then, so history of the organization. Let's see what else they've done. Okay, I'm actually going to go back up here to the mission statement. Use this because I think that would be great. Let me redo that. One of the things I try to avoid is having them all be bigger, so I'm going to paste without formatting. Again, adding my quotation marks so I remember it's a direct quote. And then the URL yet again. Okay, so there's that one. Let's see if I can find anything else in here. Why we fight. Actually, this doesn't go to its history. This is really great resources. So I'm not sure if I'm going to use this whole thing or break it into pieces, but I'm going to come over here again. And we're going to paste it here. Who and what the organization serves. It's a really big quote. It's probably too much. So this is what they do. So I'm actually going to, this founded by parents is really important. I'm actually going to break this up into several pieces because this is probably the majority of the information I need, really. So, and it's all the same source, which it's okay to have only one source, at least for this assignment, because that's actually, we actually just ask you to go to the organization's website. I think the other big thing here, I'm actually going to leave this here because I think the other thing is we need to talk about all the children, the type 1 diabetic children, and the impact that it has on them. So I think I'm going to leave that alone. And then I'm going to go back in here again and grab the URL, which I probably could just do from my page. I just realized that, but that's okay. And so you kind of get the idea, and I would just keep doing this until I had all the parts figured out. But there's one more thing you should do before you turn this in. Even when you have all the parts filled in, you want to go through and make sure it makes sense the order you have your sources and information. It's really, really important to do that. I do recommend 2 sources. I tell my students who are in my class that it's really recommended that they have a second source. So I might go in and see if I can find a newspaper article about JDRF. And maybe find quotes from there, if that makes sense. Because then if you have a newspaper article, you have 2 sources, which when you're looking at credibility, you have 2 sources supporting the same information. And so that's actually going to be very helpful. So we'll do this one because it has a mission of JDRF for kids and families. So that looks like it's up my alley of what I would need. And I'll just find another quote to show you kind of what it. Kind of skimming through here. Perfect. Well, this is actually a fantastic quote here. So I'm going to copy this one and we will go back over here, and I think it should fit right here. And then I would have the other source. Okay. So I'm obviously doing this very quickly. I would spend more time reading the quotes, but I am trying to just show you kind of a concept of how this would work. Okay. So once you have all this filled in, you have your sources or the actual detail, the fact that you find or the quote you find. They're in quotation marks, which is the best because that tells your teacher you know that it's not your idea and you're not plagiarizing. And then the other component would be that you have all the sources listed because that's going to help you realize you're not, well, your teacher know you're not plagiarizing, but you also need to cite them when you put them into your essay. So this is what a research outline looks like. It's just a nice, easy way to collect and then order the quotes you want to use to support your essay. Okay? So this is different than an essay outline because this is just looking at the research and the information you're going to present in an informational paragraph. A lot of our essays don't have information. Maybe you're writing about the best gift you've ever received, and there is an outline for that. And you would just follow, copy and paste it just like I showed you and follow in the pieces. Or put in the pieces, fill them in. But it's up to you kind of to see if you can find that outline. For us, they're on the assignment. A lot of times, especially a basic 5-paragraph essay, you can find sample ones online if you can't remember what should go where, and copy and paste them from there. But I do recommend you start with Graduation Alliance, but maybe you're in another class where it just says to write an essay and they don't give you an outline, and you could go online and find an example and then see how that would fit for your topic that you're having to write about. So what I would do, I went into here, that's the research outline. We're actually going to go into Unit 6 really quick because now we're going to do the informative essay outline. And so that is this activity, I believe. And if you see, instead of just the 3 paragraphs and the requesting the detail and then the source, they actually have an introduction, a conclusion, and all of that. So I'm going to remember the directions were to create a document, then determine your outline or copy and paste the outline, which I've done here. So I've done those first 2 steps. I'm actually going to go in and break these up just to help myself out of it. So let's see here. Yep, there's that. So if you see this, this is different than your research. The research was really just concerned about collecting and organizing your research. But that gives you a big step up because each of my, like, history of the organization goes right here. And the body paragraph goes right here. And then down here, or excuse me, body paragraph, the who and what the organization serve goes right here. And so you're just going to go in just like before, where you're just going to fill it in. This is not a copy and paste. This is more of a write most of it yourself and then add in your copy paste that you're going to use. So I'm going to kind of demonstrate how this works with the typing in. I did pick JDRF because I figured I had a lot of knowledge about this, and it is an organization very important to my family and my son's health. And so I thought this will work. But you would want to think of, like, you can do this several ways. You can go in and do your body paragraphs first, concentrating on picking out what you want from here, like your research outline, in this order. If you are maybe writing the narrative essay that has to do with your a narrative, sorry, I got a message from a student, so I just saw that and it distracted me. I apologize about that. But so if you're writing your narrative, there is a one, I believe, in the beginning of English 10 in semester 1 where you're asked to write about the best gift you've ever received. You wouldn't need to find quotes or research for that. So you would just pull up the outline and start filling it in for this material. Okay, so I'm going to try to think about a hook, and I'm actually going to use my personal experience. So I know that's not spelled correctly. So I kind of, and I'm probably would change this. It's very fastly typed, and I think it needs to be cleaned up, but this is kind of where I would start. So your hook is like the thing that's going to grab everyone's attention. The bridge is the connector piece between your hook and your thesis. So a lot of times for informational essays or other essays, you might add some background information. So I'm just going to kind of keep my story going here. So we were in the hospital and I still remember getting this welcome kit, and really welcome, right? Like it was a hard thing finding out your son had this deadly, it wasn't a disease, it's a disorder really. So it's an autoimmune disease. So I'm going to leave that in there for now, but so we get this welcome package, gave us a welcome back. It was really a backpack with the name JDRF patched onto it. I had heard of the JDRF, but I really didn't know what they did. So that helps me. And then my thesis is my primary concept, so I'm going to do something like the JDRF is a research organization that raises awareness and money in support of type 1 diabetics and a cure. So I have that. So now I have my thesis, I have a bridge, and I have my hook. And then I'm going to come in here and the history, really the JDRF hasn't been around. I believe I saw 1970 in here in my research information, 1970. So 50 years, that's a pretty good length of time for a modern organization. So I'm going to come in here and say, the JDRF has a long history of helping type 1 diabetics. As they have been open. I don't know if that's the right word, but I don't want to open. I might go back and change that. So as they have been, I actually am going to, as they have existed for nearly 50 years. Okay, so then I would go in, maybe go in and find, I'm going to show you how to use a quote. So I'm going to go into my research outline, the JDR. I'm actually going to use this right here. I'm going to copy this. I see I'm not even using all of the research I have in my outline. That's okay. I think with where I'm going with it, this will work best. So I am going to paste without formatting so it fits. I'm not going to use this right here, and this will let me demonstrate something else. ... If I take something out, but I have a start and stop from one source, but I don't want the thing in the middle, you use an ellipses in order to correctly use a direct quote that way. The other thing is you don't want your period at the end. I'm just going to put the website in here, which is the correct thing to do because I do not have an author. So, well, actually, hold on. I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use the title of the website, which is just JDRF in parentheses. Because technically the way you want to do the citation is however it would show up in a works cited, which goes author title, the first thing that shows up on a works cited page would end up being the thing you put in your in-text citation. So I would have the title of JDRF there, and so that is how I would do an in-text citation. So you want to make sure you're doing that. I just realized I'm not using my outline that I have because I have my topic sentence, but then I need my concrete detail. And so I just moved that down in order to do that. I did that in my head, I just didn't paste it in the right spot. Another concrete detail, you can come back in here and find something else about its time. Let's see here. I'm gonna do this, but I think I'm gonna copy it for right now. And then come in here. I want that here, but I'm gonna want some lead in because I don't want to just say mission, right? You want to have something. So I'm using my own words to put some of this in here. I'm gonna paste what I had for right now. We don't need this, right? And so it's really is to improve, and I'm putting it in brackets. The technical or the exact wording of the quote is improving. So since I'm changing not the meaning, but just the wording, like changing a word form, I can actually just put it in brackets. It indicates that it's not the correct word form, but that I did not change the meaning of the quote. And so improve lives today and tomorrow by accelerating life-changing breakthroughs to cure, prevent, and treat type 1 diabetics, or type 1 diabetics and its diabetes and its complications. We're going to do JDRF, this, and right there. So there's my other concrete detail. So then something students kind of miss sometimes is concluding, or the commentary sentences. Commentary are your ideas about the concrete details. And so I personally, as a style choice, would prefer to put commentary sentences between right after every single concrete detail. Some of the outlines expect you to do this, and some of them don't. So I'm going to follow the outline that's provided here because I still do recommend that, though adding more never ever hurts, unless you go way overboard, of course, and it gets confusing. But generally adding a couple commentary sentences after each concrete detail is absolutely perfect and really is what we want you working towards by the time you get into English 12. So commentary sentences would be something like, is essential to improving the lives of type 1Ds. I'm going to use that since it's already been used. Type 1Ds, diabetics, type 1 patients, because they are always supporting research for a cure. On top of that, one of the things JDRF works to improve the lives of all type 1 diabetics through education and support, period. And I might pull out one of the supports. One of the big things, and we still have it, is Rufus. I believe it was JDRF. But they gave out, like they give out bracelets and they give out materials that you need in order to keep track of your numbers and your blood sugar and all these different things. Support. They can. Okay, go. The juice is under the cupboard. Sorry about that. They can provide supplies, information, and community support through their walks. So there you go. That's my commentary. And that is a lot, but it is stuff I know, so I can add this in here. So, okay. So then I'm going to do a concluding sentence. And my concluding sentence would be as an organization, the history and mission of JDRF is vital to the diabetic community. Something like that. And now we have a full paragraph. Actually, I've got 2 paragraphs done. I did our introduction and I've done my body paragraph, and you can see how you can use your quotes right in here. This outline only asks for 2 concrete details. You could use 3. If you do use all 3, I highly recommend putting commentary sentences between each concrete detail. It's not a great practice to do what I call piggybacking quotes, where you just put quote after quote after quote, because then it's not your ideas, it's mostly someone else's words. Okay? So I would just keep doing what I've been doing all the way down until I have the entire outline filled out. And then you have an outline. And what's really awesome is if you do it this way, I could almost go through and remove these type of words, the hook, like the tag, what I call the tags, the bridge, thesis, this portion, the topic sentence. Those are all the tags or the headings for each section. If you remove those and put them in MLA format, you will essentially have your draft written. You might need to go in and add some transitional sentences or phrases, but it helps you not only organize your essay, it then will help you write a really great draft, a strong draft that has lots of details and what we're looking for in content as teachers and what we're looking for you to develop in your thinking. So I hope this has helped you. I do hope looking at your outlines and seeing how they could help you become better writers has been useful. If you have any questions, I'm going to actually type in my email. Please, even if you are not currently my student, if you have any questions about doing outlines or anything else, English related for Graduation Alliance, I am more than welcome, or you are more than welcome to contact me. I love helping students. So email me, ask away, and hopefully I will see you in one of my classes.